What's up, everyone? My name is Wes, and you're listening to the Ear Coffee Podcast. For today's wide-ranging interview, I chatted with all 6 members of Alien Book Club, who recently announced a new record label, Kitchen Knife Blood Pact. Each member is putting out a solo release over the next few months, culminating in the long-awaited Alien Book Club debut album. We talked about the label's origins, their absolutely stacked release schedule, how everyone balanced working on so many different projects at the same time, and a whole lot more. Without any further ado, here's my conversation with Anita, Andrea, Meek, Allison, Amber, and Thomas of Kitchen Knife Blood Pact on the Ear Coffee Podcast. How are we doing this Saturday morning, afternoon, like 11?
Great.
Peachy.
Great.
Good.
Pretty
Good.
good.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So I guess since maybe you have different, I don't know, we'll get into this a little bit more, but since Kitchen Knife Blood Pact is new to pretty much everybody, let's do a second round of intros, because I'm sure people are familiar with the Alien Book Club if they're listening to the podcast. So maybe just kind of a little refresher and like just do names so people can put names to voices and so on. And if you have a specific role with the label, feel free to share that now, and we can go in pretty much any order, whoever feels the spirit leading them to go first.
I'm Anita. I use she, her. We haven't decided roles on the label yet. We're still figuring that out.
Okay.
But, do a lot of emailing.
I'm Andrea, and
She's the executive.
yeah, she is the executive. I also use she, her pronouns, and I help out mostly with art and some photography now, I guess. Yeah.
Cool.
I'm Allison. I use she, her pronouns. I do a lot of art and I do the social media, and I've been doing a lot of communicating with bands that are not us, and I do the money things.
Funny.
I'm Thomas. I don't really know if I have done much yet, but here just for encouragement so far. I use he, him pronouns also.
That's an important role, the encourager.
Yeah. Thomas is our cheerleader.
Hey, I'm Meek. I use they, them pronouns. Yeah, I also don't really know what I do for the label. I look for people to send stuff to. There we go.
Cool. Just
You sound so tired.
for context, we're
I'm
doing the
so
interview
tired.
like a week and like 2 weeks into the label's existence. Hence the indeterminate roles thus far. This isn't like we're talking to Sub Pop. We're talking to a new exciting thing. So bear with us.
Yeah.
We haven't distributed exact roles yet, though.
Right.
Things have been happening.
Yeah.
Yes. I'll just jump in, be Amber, she, her, and I actively don't do anything for the label.
I don't know why, but that reminded me of like the signs that people have been taking pictures of them and posting them on Twitter, where it's like at a drive-through where it's like, please be patient with the people who did show up. No one wants to work anymore. Like on like a Chick-fil-A drive-through.
Yes.
That's a very valid response.
I actively do nothing.
Yes.
Yeah. So now that that's out of the way, we have a little bit of catching up to do, I suppose, because Alien Book Club put out an EP end of last May, and since there's just a void where touring and shows and everything used to be, there hasn't been a lot going on. But I'm curious, what have you guys been up to since then, if anything, besides like the development of the label, which we'll obviously get into? Let's see if we can bridge that gap, if there's anything special happening besides what we're about to talk about.
Yeah. So
So,
yeah. Meek, do you want to talk about Shoddy? Because I think that's the first thing we did after.
Oh yeah, the Shoddy Ensemble.
Oh yeah. I got this residency with the Studio Z in Lower Town, thanks to the Zeitgeist Ensemble. So we've had access to this space, and I decided to put together a jazz ensemble. I mean, it's not really jazz, but it's like jazz enough, you know. But that includes a lot of us, as well as some other people in the local scene. And that's something that we've been working on. We put out an EP in November, October, November. People seem to enjoy. We're working on some new fun stuff now.
Staying busy.
Anita, yeah.
Yes. I started working on solo music. I started making like video game music, and I was having a lot of fun with that. But then the video games were done, and they were just like game jams. So like people get together, they make a game in a couple days, and then no one plays the game. And then I was like, I really want to use these songs. I made a little album, just kind of on my own, and then that kind of turned into the project that should be coming out relatively soon. I dropped the single for it for the newer album, which is a little bit more like focused and less just random video game ideas that I sang over in a high-pitched voice.
I was gonna say, because like I was listening to your album, since that's the one, at least completed album that I have access to, and you have like 80 songs worth of stuff on SoundCloud. I was like, oh, you've been very active. Holy crap.
Yeah, so that's like all the video game stuff.
Okay.
Like I did a house for a game that doesn't exist, and then a couple like beat tapes of people's video game music.
They're so good, though.
So thank you.
If I'd made more time to do my job properly, I would have listened to all 4 albums.
But yeah, I don't even want to listen to it. Like it's just, I just wanted it up there. Like I probably released the soundtrack, the video game soundtrack that I made, but not the tapes. Those are on SoundCloud if anyone wants to. There's some like ambient project where I just like sampled farts, and like the person I was making the music for loved it. It was their favorite track. So find the fart tape.
Good luck.
If you do some digging, it's out there.
Yeah.
Not even that much digging. Anybody else do anything unrelated to KKBP? Gotta get that right. Before we kind of really dive in here.
We've just been recording a lot for this stuff, mostly.
Mm-hmm.
At least I have been teaching middle school.
That's noteworthy, I'd say. Yeah. So, when did the idea for Kitchen Knife Blood Pact start to really kind of formulate in either like the group's imagination, like whether you're discussing it or if like the idea kind of like struck one of you and you brought it to the rest of the group? Just talk a little bit about the initial stages of coming up with the idea for the label, and then we'll fill in the gaps for leading up to the 7 album streak we're on the verge of.
We're up to 10 releases now.
I was just counting you, not even the non-Alien Book Club.
Oh yeah,
10. Okay.
we have 7 releases, 3 others.
Yeah.
I don't even know what the third one is.
The literal Kitchen Knife Blood Pact.
Yeah.
Between Meek and Anita, we didn't all do it.
Yeah. So Meek was working on some noise stuff, and then I was working on my solo project. And Meek was like, "We should start a label. And then we kind of just ran with that. And a couple months prior, Meek and I were extremely drunk one night and decided to make a blood pact, like an actual blood pact, that we would always make music together, or else we would burn in the fires of hell for eternity.
So try this at home. It's not a good idea to slit your hand open.
Yeah.
And make some blood on someone else.
The thing is, they did it
Bloodborne
again.
diseases.
You
People.
did it twice?
We did do it again. We renewed the blood pact like a month ago.
Yeah.
What was the need for the renewal? Was the first one just not strong enough or something?
Oh.
Okay.
The bond made it stronger.
So yeah, how did you two bring everybody else into the fold? Was it? It seems like it's probably pretty natural, given how tight knit the band is. But yeah, you just talk a little bit how it evolved from a literal kitchen knife blood pact to even just formulating the ideas for like putting out the solo albums and the releases you're working on right now. Because it's one thing to have the pact, it's another thing to actually have the label putting out music and stuff. So I'm guessing there was some work in between.
Right. Well, everyone literally, like, at that point, when we were like, we should start a label, everyone had the beginnings of their solo project. Like, Thomas, you were writing these songs. Allison. Well, okay, so most of us. Well, okay, so back up.
I'm doing weird music in my apartment.
Some weird music set and like that cover of Stand By Me. I love that cover. I really think it should be on your album. But
yeah.
So
like the song.
4 of us had like some projects that are similar to what we're releasing, and then Amber was working on some noise stuff. And then
Anita told me I had to write
Mad hype.
and cursing you didn't.
Right. And then we just figured it'd be nice for Alien Book Club as well. And then we also know so many great bands that, you know, don't even have recorded music out. And like, that's a shame. So if we can do anything to help bring these albums that we want to hear to fruition, then that's a positive for everyone.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, it sounds like it started as at least conceptually as a more in-house thing for, I guess, kind of prodding each of you along to continue working on solo material or start making solo material. And was even Alien Book Club almost like not like an afterthought, but like you kind of were like, oh, we're already working on this, why not just have the Alien Book Club album that we're all working on? And it was kind of like 3 stages almost.
I feel like the ABC album was also always like something that was like, we're doing this.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like the order of things, like mostly like show us individually to build up to that as like the big initial release. I don't think that the ABC album was like a side thing though. At least the vibe I've gotten from it.
Yeah.
We've been talking a long time about an album.
Like the opposite, where like the solo albums are almost promotion for the ABC album.
Okay, yeah. Interesting. It made sense that there was always, I'm pretty sure we talked about like a Alien Book Club album last May around the EP, so this has definitely been a long time coming.
And then we threw that out.
So it's a completely new album?
Yeah, it's completely different.
But we re-recorded them.
Okay.
Yeah, but the last EP we released, that was supposed to be an album. So like those songs were supposed to be on an album, but now there's a bunch of new songs that nobody's heard before.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how did the more structural, like the bones of the album start to come into place beyond just all the, I'm guessing, messaging, talking that, and like kind of conceptualizing? How did those more formal elements kind of start to come into play, especially over like the last couple of months? Because like I think Allison, you reached out to me and Joe like a month ago, maybe like 3 weeks ago, and I'm guessing there was some more like more formal stuff that you were doing around that time, if not before that. But I guess just talk a little bit about how you're actually making this happen instead of just kind of talking about it and having it be something that people can check out and support and follow everywhere as of recording, at least.
I feel like in the last few months we really like all were like decided on what we were doing for our like solo projects, and it was a lot of coordinating of talking about like release dates to start. And then I tend to be the kind of person that's like, I'm gonna just start doing shit. And I was like, I'm gonna make art now. But it was like a lot of like messaging and then like figuring out who was doing what. I feel like in the last few months at least, getting started, and Anita doing a lot of the planning and recording kind of stuff. And we're working with our friend Allie, who's also helping and has a label and that's working on things too, to help with the physical copies of stuff that we're doing, since we're doing physical copies for every release. It's been a lot of the initial like getting accounts started, like making things that we can post, and like making sure our projects are ready. And that has been a lot of the like communication of stuff and how we're going to go about releasing each item, which has been a lot of the focus right now. Being that we haven't actually had any big release yet. We've had a single and everything else has gotten delayed. We don't know exactly when that's coming out. But getting started so we can have those be successful releases right out of the get-go and like coming out strong right off the bat is mainly what we've been working on from my perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The grind of Excel spreadsheets and such. I did appreciate the spreadsheet you sent me. That I was like, oh, hell yeah.
Yes.
I'm good with Excel and Google Sheets and all that. From my end, it's been just like a lot of recording sessions at my house.
Mm-hmm.
I think everyone's tracked over here for at least part of their album.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's been fun. We probably didn't start working on the ABC album till like a month ago, 2 months ago.
Yeah.
Well, we tracked and then we retracked it.
Yeah, well, yeah.
It was started earlier. We just redid it.
These newest ones. And and we've been, like Austin said, we've been working with our friend Allie, who runs High Strong Records,
Mm-hmm.
which is a cool recording studio. She's been great to work with, and honestly, like, we probably would not be in this space without her, because she mixed mine, she's mixing the ABC, she mixed Meeks, she mixed Thomas's, she's mixing Amber's. So that's an outrageous amount of work that she's done. And so she's been great.
Yeah. That actually answers a question I was going to ask down the line, where I was wondering like how much work she had been and how much she'd been helping out with stuff, because I knew obviously she'd mixed and mastered and co-produced Face Picks, which is the one single from Anita that's out now. But yeah, it sounds like she's pretty much like the seventh member of the label at this point.
If she didn't have her own label, she would have.
Yeah.
I would have asked her.
Yeah, she's running one label, doing another one.
Right. Yeah. I'd rather be rivals. You know, when we met, it was like, oh wait, you're starting a label too. Like, it's been really nice because we share equipment for like the cassette duplication, and we share a lot of advice, and it's more of a working together sort of rivalry.
Yeah, more friendly than like this town ain't big enough for the two of us, like gunfight at sundown type deal.
There can only be one indie label.
Yeah, bad news for all the other, or all like 3 labels there are, because there are not a lot. There are not a lot of, at least like small local labels.
Room for us.
Yeah, that's part of why I'm so excited about this, because it feels like there's been like the only ones I really knew about before, at least not like the legacy ones that are like putting out like either their own band stuff only, or like they're like 40-year-old punk dudes that have been doing this since like 95. Nothing against them, but just not different scene. Because there was Heavy Meadow, which I don't even know if they officially shut down, but Jeremy passed on that, and then Brace Cove is doing more national stuff anyways. So between like Kitchen Knife Blood Pact and High Strung, it's super cool to see some local labels kind of actually getting started, instead of just kind of coasting on just putting out tapes like every 3 months and then dying one day. Which will happen to all of us. That's
Yeah.
not to get too dreadful at 11:25 in the morning. Anyways, how did all of you, especially I guess those of you that are a little bit more, at least previously, have been more active with the setting up the label and stuff on top of everything else, but how did you all balance working on the label and getting that going, working on the ABC album, even if that really only officially got started in the last month or so, and then working on your own solo projects, even if it sounds like those have been things you've all been kind of tinkering with, except for Andrea, for a while. Because that's just a lot of work to take on, even in the span of a few months. So I'm curious, how did you all approach it and kind of just balance your roles? I mean, Amber was a bit more aggressive, and then you're like, I just don't do anything for the label. Just working on the tunes.
It's, I don't know, it's probably the biggest challenge, you know, trying to schedule all the recording time and then think about my own stuff and then think about the ABC stuff. That's why it's been so good having, you know, I was going to say the 6 of us, but the 5 of us, Amber. Because like I don't handle any of the art stuff, and so it's nice that I have Allison and Andrea to do that for me, and like I don't have time to go look for the places where I need to send the promo emails. And good thing I have Meek and Thomas. I don't have, you know, the time to mix. Good thing I have Allie. And so it's been a lot of delegating and then just alcohol and caffeine and stuff.
That's the big 2, yeah.
I think
Really
I do
should be alcoholic drunk.
Alcohol and drug pack.
I think I do my best work when I have to do a million things and I'm incredibly busy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I spent like every waking hour for a week and a half or so just doing Anita and Meek's album art.
They turned out great. I'm so happy.
I always want to be doing a million
good.
things at the same time.
Yeah.
It's the goal.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Anita, you kind of have like stage manager energy here, kind of, especially with the delegation, just coordinating with everyone else to send emails.
Yeah.
And then I'm good.
I don't want to put the blight of theater kids upon you. I don't mean that negatively. I mean this only positively. Yeah, that's cool. So this could be a bit more of philosophical, depending on how you've all kind of been considering it. But how would you describe the label's ethos and kind of approach to releasing music, recording music, who you want to work with outside of the band? Because if it was just the band, it would obviously be pretty much intertwined permanently. But since you are stepping out of that, and so far 3 bands already, I don't even know the 3rd band, but
I think you only. Oh, you do know 2.
I know 2. I do not know the 3rd, so we can keep that secret. Otherwise, I'm just like, oh.
We can mention the first one though. I know we can mention the first one.
Yeah.
Yes.
The other one, we are releasing Sock Hop Massacre's album. It's gonna be really good.
It's so good.
Theirs is coming out the week after the ABC album, so we're gonna have those first 8 releases. But a lot of like with deciding, we don't get any other band with us that we will release unless all of us agree on them and are like totally on board with it. And a lot of it has been just like bands that either don't have a ton of music out that we like really enjoy, like Anita said earlier, or just like a really good feeling. Anita always is just like going with everything about like, I don't really know, but I just have like a good feeling about this, and like I feel good about this, like it's just like a gut feeling. And I feel like that's a lot of, with other bands at least, like what we've been leaning towards, and like people to work with and everything. So that has been a lot, and just like finding people that we feel like we can be of a benefit to, not just like just to like have somebody on our label just for the sake of having them on our label, but like in a way that we can help them in getting music out and promoting them and giving them resources that they might not currently have. And we also like helping them get physical copies of their music out and share their music with people has been a big push with things. And not just like for the sake of having people on the label. More of like mutual connection between us help them and they help us, and we connect with each other more.
A much more symbiotic relationship.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can agree more with how that was put.
Yeah. So I guess we've already kind of talked about that, but with Sock Hop and at least with the other band, who shall go unnamed for the time being, the ones that I do know out of the three, are both two fairly notorious, I mean that positively, live bands who have little to no recorded output. But how did you go about reaching out to them, connecting with them? How did the ideas for these bands, kind of besides what you already had mentioned, come about? And yeah, just talk a little bit about that process of working with non-ABC projects.
The first bands are bands that we've always like been personal big fans of and like loved going to their shows and loved listening to them and like wanted to be able to listen to them when we weren't at their show and not have to go to the show to have our only opportunity to hear them play. And we literally just like messaged them and it was like, hey, this is like kind of crazy. Like we have not done any releases. We haven't done anything yet. But hey, we're starting a record label. And I used to know you have music. Do you want to record it? And like, we can help you with this if you want. Like, we have no reputation of doing anything, but like, we're recording solo projects. Do you want to be on our label? So it's kind of like a lot of them trusting us, which is a cool feeling because we have nothing to show for ourselves at this. And the fact that they're like so willing and like interested in
nothing to show
like,
besides blood, literal blood.
We don't have any releases, and it's just like I feel like starting from where we're at with us not having any releases and them not having much music out, but having a good reputation of having great music, is like mutual trust in each other that I feel like wouldn't be there in a lot of other situations because we are counting on them to do their part, and we know they will, and they are trusting us to follow through with the things that we promise, which I feel like is a cool way to be starting a label. And like just with people, like we don't like hang out with these people all the time or anything, but just like being in the scene and like hearing their music and always like being fans of each other, I feel like it's just like encouraging each other to do more and put out more music and do more things.
Yeah. Anything else to add, anyone?
No, I think that was really well.
Allison, you need to stop having really good answers. Like, come on.
You have a piece of paper. Did you get the questions before?
Yeah. I swear, Alice, my computer's being wonky this morning. I'm pretty sure Allison was hacking my Google Docs. No. So, we've already talked a little bit about all the work Allie has done. Allie, who runs High Strung Records. Check them out. Support them, as well as Kitchen Knife Blood Pact. How did you... was it kind of a similar situation, like proposing, like, hey, do you want to help work and help out with this, especially since she's so involved with like mixing and recording and everything across all of the, or at least almost all of the solo releases. How did you kind of form that loving rivalry and working relationship?
So, as Allison said before, I do most things in my life on good feelings. And so it was the day that Sophie had died, and I was just kind of sad posting on Instagram, and Allie was also sad posting on Instagram, and we hadn't really talked before, but trans women just follow other trans women. I don't know what we do. And so she messaged me, or I messaged her, I can't even remember, but we just got to talking, and we really hit it off well. And then we started to learn more about each other, that she was starting a label and a recording studio, and that I was also starting a label with my friends. And it just kind of got to this point where it's like, how could we not help each other out? You know, I couldn't see any other way. Like now that we, you know each other and stuff, like it's a really good fit for both of us.
Yeah. Outside of the work Allie has done, were there any other, like, I guess, outside non-Alien Book Club collaborators that you worked with for any of the solo EPs, or is it mostly just kind of you all working as a team, just so helping each other out? I was like, oh, I need someone to play this part on this song I'm recording, and then someone else does that. Were there any, I guess, external collaborators, or was it mostly, if not entirely, in-house, all of you supporting each other and recording everything and playing everything yourselves on each other's releases?
On my EP, my like overall goal was that I was going to play every single instrument and do every single thing on it. So I played all the instruments, but I don't mix or anything. So I'm not doing that part. But my friend Isaac that lives in North Carolina that we met on tour is mixing my EP.
Cool.
Anita, don't laugh at me.
Oh, and then Meek.
Yeah, and drums on my EP, but also I have some friends from New York. Father does a verse on one of the tracks. My friend Nico, who's actually from here, and also plays bass in Shadi Ensemble, produced a track towards the end of the EP. My buddy Violet produced that, and then a random friend sung the opening cappella, and it sounds great.
Cool.
A mishmash of everybody else who's working on it during the 3 weeks that Anita gave me to write it.
Did you actually give them just 3 weeks?
And I was like, this album's really good, Meek. We should release
She gave me a week, actually.
Yeah, you're definitely the stage manager,
To be
Anita.
fair,
I'm sorry.
It was like, hey, we're missing a release date on our calendar. Will you put out an album? And I was like, oh yeah, I have all of this stuff I've worked on over the last year. And I sent her all this stuff. This is awesome. Let's put this out. And then I was like, okay, well, I want to make one more track for this. And so we hung out and we recorded some improvisation sessions. And then I'm like, okay, I'm going to take this home and work out one more track. And then I rewrote the entire album. And only one song from the original batch of songs I sent her is actually on this day.
You're the reason I drank, Meek.
Is anything from the 2 lengthy singles you put out in November, I think, did any of that stuff get reworked and kind of end up on your release, or was that you just kind of keep that as your own thing? Is its own thing rather? Letting those 2, I think they're like each like 11 or 12 minutes, like multi-part tracks, just kind of leave them on their own.
Yep. So that whole tape is its own thing. Some stuff off of that because originally a couple of the songs that were on that tape that got reworked for that tape were meant to be that were originally supposed on for Anita, but I decided not to reuse any material.
Yeah, respect that.
There is no relation to any of that stuff. So yeah,
cool.
It's a new tape, new stuff.
Yeah, y'all have like the re-recording like bug going around between like how much like either solo or collectively you just like needed to re-record and like, I'm gonna redo the entire thing.
Yep.
So this is finally a question, I guess, that is actually for everybody. Because I do want, I love having everybody have like talk and get as many voices. How did each of you, over however long you've been working on solo stuff, just kind of even without even considering releasing, how did each of you discover the general sound and kind of aesthetic you were playing with musically, visually, just overall with your solo releases. Because from even just the demos that Allison sent me for, I believe everybody's except for the Alien Book Club album, very, very different. There's some overlaps, but it's obviously each respective EP is going to be very different. So I'm curious just kind of how each of you hit that, arrived at that point, came to the realization, like, hey, this is what I want to make.
I introduced Anita to hyperpop.
Yeah. I remember the first time I heard 100 Gex, and I was like, holy fucking shit. Healthy passion with hyperpop. There's something about the music that I found absolutely fascinating. And then so like the last album I kind of connected that with like video game music. And on this album I was like, I want Midwest hyper emo. And I was just like, I'm gonna go with that and see what happens. So I listed Amber to play a bunch of like tappy guitar stuff, and just got to work on that kind of vision. Snowing meets Sophie.
That's the real fifth wave that people aren't ready for.
Right.
Who wants to go next?
I'll go.
I guess I know. No, Thomas.
Thomas, we haven't heard from you in a while.
Sure.
Oh yeah.
I guess like I just been like messing around, playing some guitar for a while. I had a bunch of songs
For
that just kind of,
years.
like half written and whatnot, and like I would just like kind of sometimes I would like jam with Anita a little bit on some stuff, and she'd be like, "I like that, work on that," basically. And I don't know. I just it kind of ended up being like kind of sad, angry, emo kind of music, which sort of fits in with like some of the Midwest stuff that Anita's doing. It's not hype. I'm not saying
Money machine.
Worth clarifying.
Maybe the next thing.
Next time.
No. But yeah, I just kind of had a batch of songs that I've been working on for a long time, and finally got encouragement to put them out and kind of just work on them. I don't know.
Yeah,
We should
have that
also say what
incentive.
projects are called. We should say what our solo project is
Yes,
called.
definitely share. Maybe not album titles if those are even decided on, but at least
Sure.
the project name. Get that out there.
Sure. So mine's Lobster Planet.
Oh yeah.
Love it.
Nick is just
Andrew,
Okay. I have no idea what I'm doing.
one of the songs.
Yeah.
Well, I'm done with a song. And I wrote a completely different song. And it's like I decided I wanted to use my violin because I played violin first and I never get to play it anymore. So it's pretty, which sounds nothing like the first song I wrote. So, and I have no idea what my name is yet. So,
Yeah,
you're just a land of uncertainty.
Yeah, I spent too much time working on art and not music.
yeah.
But I think there's to that. You're just forced into a situation, and you just have to react, like a gazelle being trapped by a lion.
I don't know if that's the I don't want to think about like you're gonna like get killed by a lion if you don't put out an EP. I hope that doesn't
Yeah.
happen.
Essentially.
That's how it works.
No.
Amber, you want to go?
Sure. Well, before I started working on what I've got now, I had like 3 EPs worth of noise music, but apparently it was a little too esoteric for
Drop it.
But as to like what I started doing, it really honestly just came out of nowhere. Like for some reason, I just started getting like an 80s post-punk, like goth rock obsession, and just started listening to a bunch of like Sisters of Mercy and Joy Division and all that kind of stuff. And I don't know, that just sort of became what I wanted to do. Just sort of happened naturally. Which I think it was surprising since I'm like the guitar wanker person of the group. Yeah, so I think everyone was expecting some kind of like horrible glam instrumental or something.
just like Cliffs of Dover covers for like
yes.
8 minutes long, 8 minute solos.
And she's like, "Yo, look at this thing." And all of a sudden, I'm listening to some Joy Division shit. Like, what the hell? Shit came out of nowhere, Amber.
Yeah.
Well, that's what we want. Yeah, that you have the element of surprise there, where even people that have seen ABC are going to expect one thing, and then you're just going to come out of the shadows with freaking post-punk.
Hell yeah. Oh, and I guess I should mention that the project is called Tarantula Girl for no real reason, but it's there.
That's fantastic.
Hell yeah. Also, Anita's project is just Anita Velveeta. I think we skipped over that. Wanted to cover that.
Am I the only one left?
I don't think Meek's gone.
Oh, I didn't talk either, but you can go first.
Okay. My project is called Softball, except it's spelled soft BAWL. Like you're like crying. That's my project name.
You would be crying though.
What was that mean?
Oh, I was just being an asshole.
Oh. My music is, well, it's a 3-track EP, but one of the songs is 7 minutes, so it's kind of long. The only description for like genre, that the closest thing to a genre we found is it's just as much not emo as it's not jazz. Because it's really not either, but it's like a weird like going to school for jazz, but then I only listen to like punk and emo now, and don't listen to jazz or try to play jazz or want to play jazz, but it still has like that jazz influence to it. Also, I've never sang on anything in my life, and I've never written lyrics in my life, and then I was like, here we go.
Let's do it.
And I sung about the mice in my apartment on a song.
Did they feature on a track or anything? Are they like a guest artist?
There's a squeaky chair at the beginning of one that is representing their death.
Oh my God.
So I don't really know. I played my goal for two of the songs. I just like kind of wrote them as we were recording, which it makes it kind of feel very like segmented but like flow together. It's just like random ideas put together, with a lot of like improvised stuff over the top of it, and then 808s. So it's like some blend of like improvised jazz vibes, but like not.
That's the
yours
only
is like the
Bandcamp
hard.
tag.
It's
Jazz, but not.
Jazz, but not. It's not jazz. Anita, what were you saying?
It's the hardest to explain. It's definitely the weirdest. Like, if you're looking for the weirdo music release of these, it's definitely Allison's album. I cannot see another album that it sounds remotely like. Maybe like Drop Mass Replica.
Ooh.
I don't know. Also, people tell me the music I write kind of feels like the blend of like jazz and rock, but with video game music. I've gotten that quite a bit, but I have never played a video game, so I'm not sure. Except Wii Sports. I'm pretty good at that one.
It's Wii Sports Core is your genre.
Holy shit.
You're all revolutionizing. We got like Midwest fifth wave hyper emo and Wii Sports Core and Joy Division. Just straight up Joy Division.
Just Joy Division.
Ian Curtis came back, and he's a girl now.
Hell yeah.
Honestly, this thing's been so cool. I just have to be like, I've been waiting for Thomas to do his emo project for so long, and then he's just like, oh yeah, I did it. I'm like, what do you mean? It's so good, and like, and it's like making a noise project out of nowhere, and like this Joy Division ass shit, and it's all so good.
Aw.
I'm just constantly making stuff. I've been like making like the hip hop stuff for a little while. But like most of what I've been doing is like, I don't know, it's kind of really weird. I think it's also kind of born out of the way that I was making the Shoddy Ensemble EP. We would play a bunch of live stuff. I'd come up with charts and record a bunch of stuff. And then I would take that stuff home and like resample it to make even more tracks. And then resample those tracks to make even more tracks. Like the tape, the hip hop tape I made before this, what's it called? Something in pomegranates. I don't
Bells.
remember. Bells and pomegranates. Yeah, that thing after that poem.
Yeah, like the
One, it's
Evangelion thing
just
or
a
whatever.
big. It's just a big Evangelion reference.
Hell yeah.
I'm just a weeb. Exactly. Every track is an Evangelion. There is literally a 5-minute long like fucking electronic piece, like taken from like micro sampling a chunk of like interview, just a big Ava reference, mixed with some misogyny, I guess. Like, but also that's tenet of like Evangelion. I have to say something controversial in every interview. That's like my thing.
I was just waiting for it.
I promised I wouldn't talk about specific bands this time. This time about misogyny. It was like on the last album, I did a lot of like song. Like I'd make these giant Ableton sessions, and I'd make like a couple beats, and then like I'd end up with a song that I love, and then I'd write a song over it, and then I'd resample that song, and then turn that into the next song, and then I'd resample that song and turn that into the next song. And so each side of each of those tapes are kind of just like constantly cannibalized beats, with a couple new elements thrown in, and then recannibalized for the next beat. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I did a lot of that on.
It's like the iceberg meme, except it's just you all the way down. Where, like each layer is just like a
Exactly.
different version of your own
Because
music.
who else do you need?
Yeah.
Hell yeah. So like this one is like me and Anita had that drunk improv jam that was supposed to be one song, and then out of just that one jam, and like I mean like one song from that one jam, I made like 5 tracks, and they all sound completely different. And then of course there's the outside produced tracks, and like I think I made like one track that wasn't sampled from that, and like it works super well.
Hell yeah.
That's kind of been my ethos. Do the minimal amount of work to get the most weird product.
I will say, and this is again, I feel like I keep on having to clarify that I mean things positively. But when I was just kind of like noting down like vague descriptions of like the demos and like what little I had heard, there were a lot of question marks for every single one of your releases. And that is, again, that's a entirely good thing. It was just like everything was just so all over the place and like unique. And like I was like, there aren't words for this, so I'm just gonna write a question mark and hope I remember what it sounds like until I can hear the full EP. Cool. So
Moopy.
yes, that's.
I thought you were cute as Meek.
There's 8 Meeks.
Oh yeah, but then we found out there's like so Meeks. Plus there's Meek Mill.
Yeah.
You know, so my
people
name.
do know him. Yeah. Meek Mill, known plagiarist.
Put him back in jail.
He really took the fall there for the Drake diss track was actually meant for you, and Meek Mill just took the fall publicly as like a favor.
Exactly.
Sorry for stealing your name.
Exactly.
I'll tweet a bunch about how much Drake makes me sad. So continuing just talking a little bit about the Alien Book Club album. Don't want to give away a lot. I have not heard a note of it, for what little that's worth. But what can you say about it thus far? How would you kind of compare it to even like your live sets or like the last EP and other like previous stuff that people might be familiar with? Without giving too much away, because I think we're all in agreement that we want the music to speak for itself. and like which is that's true for all the EPs as well. But what tidbits are there that you can kind of give us in advance of the full Alien Book Club album that, in some way, shape, or form, has been in the works for probably like at least a year, if not years?
Yeah. Well, it's partially some tracks that we've played in our live set that went over really well, like a song called "Whenever I'm Alone with You," which is a doo-wop number.
That's the doo-wop song. Yes.
That's going to be on there. And then a song that we were playing a little bit just before quarantine, which was a song Andrea wrote called "Alien Bitch Club," which is just like a kind of standard. I don't want to say standard because nothing we do is standard. It's a little bit more punk. I would say that this album kind of breaks
It's like
away.
a classic ABC song.
Yeah, it breaks away from that kind of, I guess, mold that we've kind of created of like, it's going to be chaotic, it's going to be energetic, it's going to be wild. Now that we have like a whole album's worth to kind of explore different sounds, we're able to calm down a little bit more. There's an instrumental song on there that kind of focuses more on improvisation and jazz. There's going to be a song on there with electronic drums and auto. I use it auto-tune. Auto-tune, that's the word.
Local hyperpop musician forgets what auto-tune is.
Have auto-tune vocals. Yeah, it's kind of all over the place.
See, that's going to get us canceled.
But
I'm only going to release this portion of the interview just to cancel Alien Book Club.
But yeah, I think it's a really good showcase of everyone's abilities. Amber also has a writing credit on the album for a song based on the movie Sleepaway Camp.
Tell us about the movie.
If you haven't seen Sleepaway Camp, I can't give away the ending.
Go watch it.
Yeah, have you seen it, Wes?
I feel like I've heard the title, but I haven't seen it. Is it like kind of like a campy horror movie or something?
Yeah.
What are you?
Great slasher flick.
Yeah, with
That's twist.
yeah, I don't want to say it. It's just like
Don't say it.
Okay.
Watch this movie and you'll see why Amber and I really appreciate it. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yes.
I'm noting that. Hopefully the listeners noting that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So that kind of covers most of what I want to talk about, but as kind of one final round of questioning for each of you, what are your hopes for the label going forward, even beyond the Alien Book Club album and the other releases that are either scheduled or in the works, for a grand total of 10 releases, which I know is looking far ahead, given that none of these 10 albums are out yet, at least at the time of recording. But what are you hoping to do just going through these releases, putting them out, and continuing forward? And just kind of what are you hoping to do for the future? Because it seems like at this rate, y'all are going to be going for at least a hot minute, which is good, I hope.
I really hope that we can continue doing all our solo projects and Alien Book Club, and record labels I don't think should make a lot of money. I think when they do, they're usually exploiting the artists. So the goal of this is to
profit.
Keep us afloat.
We're only in it for the money.
We're only in it for the money, exactly. But yeah, just keep us afloat long enough to keep making music and keep putting it out there, and help bands in town. That's my goal. If we can do that 5 years from now, then I would say that Kitchen Knife Blood Pact was a huge success.
And you and Meek aren't going to burn in hell by then.
And
We won't burn in hell. Yeah, exactly.
I agree with what Anita was saying, but like being able to keep finding bands and people that we love and want to support and do what we can, if working with more people and giving more people more opportunities and connecting with more people while we're still able to continue making our art. I feel like it's important that we're still creating and we're still doing the thing through this process, but being able to support as many people. But I feel like if we're not doing the art and creating the music ourselves, then it kind of feels like we've lost touch with our passions and our goals with this project to begin with. So I hope that we continue making the music ourselves and being able to help others through that process as well.
Well said.
Oh yeah.
I'm excited to hopefully get good recordings of local bands that are recording or not recording very professionally or whatever.
Yeah.
Just like some
move
solid
beyond the Bandcamp demo, like whole void.
phone recordings, you know.
I feel like so many great bands have died in that area, and that's really sad to me because all they need is just someone to put a mic in front of them.
Yeah, and someone else to hit the button, hit the red record button.
You can press it and run back there. It's fine.
I'm overcomplicating things.
I also want to get rich, though. That's also the plan.
Get rich.
Yes. As someone who's also in it for the money, I understand. We're all going to become billionaires. Just
it's all about the money here.
Instead of
everything I do is
instead of giving like an actual answer for like what the ethos of the label is, it's just like the stonks meme, where it's just that's the entire MO for Alien Book Club, Kitchen Knife Blood Pact, every solo project, just simple economics. Yeah. So most of you are probably familiar with this because it's how I end every interview. I'm just curious, in what time you have had when you haven't been recording, working on music, working on art, everything. What local artists or even just other music have you been listening to lately and kind of has just been keeping you sane during this busy, productive season of each of your lives? Not to mention just the fact that we're still in a pandemic, and that's pretty upsetting.
Pink Sifu, Grow Deluxe.
Yo.
The man put 2 more albums in his goddamn album. Fucking genius. Swear to God. Go home. After this podcast.
Go home.
And spend $14 on this digital only release on fucking Bandcamp.
It was Pink
Deluxe.
Sifu and who?
Well, it's Pink Sifu. It's not one of his collaborative days.
Okay.
It's just Pink Sifu. It's called Negro Deluxe. It's a deluxe version of the Negro album he put out last year. It's like punk as fuck, but like hip hop with a like basis. And I don't know how to describe it to you. There's free jazz in there. There's punk, just straight punk tracks in there. Just like the anybody's making right now and there. Like and like some great hip hop. And I swear to God, if you guys don't go home and listen to the Negro album, just called it a deluxe edition. He's like, hey, I made an extra hour of material, my 36-minute album, better than the material on the original album. And
that's what people are doing nowadays.
2 separate albums.
Yeah.
Deluxe. It's just 2.0. He dropped a repository.
Interview.
What did you say?
It's the most passionate you've been throughout the entire interview.
It's not even your own
I'm
music.
awake now.
You're gonna sign
I'm
things.
sorry.
I mean, no shame, but it is noon.
This album
Come
is
on.
so good.
Meek woke up.
I'm awake now.
Just in time.
Yeah, for the
I
last
literally
minute of the
woke up to
interview.
you guys being like, get on the call. Oh.
Okay, who's next?
Negro
The band Kill Us Online is really cool. They're local. I don't think they get enough attention.
What was the band name again?
45 monthly listeners. They need like 5 times that at least.
Wait, who did you say?
Kill Us Online. They're like
Okay.
they're like a weird fusion of like metal and rap. It's really, 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 really good.
I think I found them on Instagram. I'll have to check them out. Yeah.
Definitely check them out. They're people in the scene that are doing something that no one else is, which is really cool. Which, by the way, if someone who is listening to this knows them, could you tell them to like send us a demo tape or something? And by the way, actually, if anyone's listening to this and they have a demo tape, our email is always open. We would love to hear your music.
Same. Just piggybacking.
Andrea?
We've also been listening to a lot of Outlaw Country.
Outlaw Country!
Yeah. For like a couple hours. We just like putting on more country songs. It was fun.
Yeah.
Digging the country.
Getting back into the Dead. It's been fun.
Yeah.
Back into. My goodness.
Yeah. I'm really into the Grateful Dead and periods of my life where I hate the Grateful Dead.
Yeah.
And
I can't stand the Grateful Dead.
I'm straight up trucking.
I feel like at this point, if you just came into the record store that I work at, you'd just be like one of our average customers who just like knows way too much about the Grateful Dead and won't shut up about it. And like, I'm all for it.
Like, I feel like, you know, inside of me was a trans woman. Inside of that trans woman is like a 60-year-old deadhead.
Inside of that is just the sister from Freaks and Geeks. Just Linda Cardellini is just inside you.
I haven't honestly been listening to that much music. I've been listening to like boring 70s like country rock shit. Like America and stuff.
Oh yeah.
That's because Thomas is married and settling down now.
The wedding. We came Thomas, were you done?
Yeah.
Is that all?
Just shouting out America.
I mean,
have been listening to, I guess I haven't been listening to a ton of local music lately. I've been going through a big Glass Beach phase. And listening to that a lot. I've been listening to Crying a lot.
Oh, yeah.
I've been listening to I've told them about this, but the Spotify playlist State of Jazz is incredible.
Like the editorial, like official one?
Yes.
Ooh.
It's like all like contemporary jazz, and there's some like weird stuff on there, but it's like really, really good jazz in this playlist, and I listen to it all the time. Top-notch jazz playlist on Spotify for somebody that I don't like listening to jazz, but I like listening to this playlist.
I think this is the first time someone's technically shouted out a corporation
You're
on the
playing a
podcast.
jazz ensemble.
It's a really good playlist. Shout out to the Spotify editorial playlist.
Cancelled. Boo.
Oh no.
I like the Spotify playlist. Okay, but mostly I've been listening to like Glass Beach and Crying and some Slaughter Beach Dog, that kind of stuff. Amber, you're last.
Yes. Yeah. I've mostly just been listening to like weird avant-garde 80s Japanese bands for some reason.
Hell yeah.
There's one band I'm really into called Mizutama Shobodan. They have only like 2 albums out, but I've just been listening to them on repeat. Yeah.
How do you spell
Petals
that?
Full in the Sky. Like Mizutama, and then space Shobodan.
There we go. Okay.
Indeed.
I've
that's
been going through
great.
a weird 80s, 90s Japanese music phase too, so I was like, oh,
Damn.
I'm gonna Google Pink Sifu and Mizutama Shobodan right now, so I don't forget.
Amazing.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Not Spotify editorial playlist.
Yeah, then there's Allison being like, oh, I listened to the Spotify algorithm. Boo.
You haven't checked it out yet.
I'm speaking mostly in jest, so don't worry. You're not actually canceled. You're okay. This is a rare exception because there's like a lot of people here, so it's a bit more chill than just like me talking to like one guy in his basement about his solo project. Be like, so you're from Chicago. That was not at anybody. That sounded shady. I'm sorry. I already feel bad.
We're like
Yes.
worse than you, Wes.
Yes, he was.
I don't like this. I don't like being. Don't turn the tables on me.
No, you're getting interviewed now.
Tread on me, Wes.
People are gonna like listen to this podcast and be like, "Oh my god, Wes has shaded all of our bands."
Yeah, actually, National Park Service really sus. I don't trust those guys. A bunch of misogynistic weebs, from all I can tell.
Whoa.
Pin.
No further context will be provided. Dylan, I'm sorry.
We just cut this one part of the interview out and posted it on our page. Tag National Park Service.
I'm like low-key waiting for one of them to burst through my door because they do live with me. And they know they have bigger knives than I do. So if I die, at least I'm dying doing what I love. Podcasting. Okay, we've gone on long enough. I think I'm putting an end to this nonsense.
Yeah, that's news for the best.
So, since there aren't really release dates anymore for the albums, just because they've been postponed temporarily. Everybody that's listening, make sure you follow Kitchen Knife Blood Pact and Alien Book Club and everybody on social media so you can stay up to date on when the releases are starting. They're starting with Anita's album, which I've heard in full. It's wild. I'm very excited for everyone else to hear it. Also very excited for everybody else's releases. I just have even less of an idea of what to expect. So keep your eyes peeled for that. I think, is it just at like Kitchen Knife Blood Pact on social media, just so people know where to find stuff, and like Bandcamp as well, I believe?
That, except on Twitter, it's at KKBP Records.
Okay. So yeah, I'm pretty sure also if you just like search it up on like Twitter, Instagram, and Bandcamp, you'll find it, hopefully. So
I don't think there's a lot of Kitchen Knife Blood Packs.
I would hope not. For the general well-being of
This should
people's
not
hands.
be a trend.
Yeah. Don't let this go viral, everybody. So yeah, stay tuned for all 7 of these releases from Alien Book Club, including the long-awaited album. Very excited to hear what Sock Hop Massacre is up to, as well as the other 2 bands who will not be named for the time being, but if maybe it'll be announced by the time you're hearing this. Excuse me. That'd be cool. But thank you so much to everybody. I'm so happy we were able to get all of you on a call. It's about as feral as I expected, which is amazing. Very excited for everything that's coming out soon. Like I said before, you know where to find their social media, and we'll probably end up posting about it too, because we only cover the coolest stuff in the scene.
Your Coffee Podcast is a companion to the blog of the same name. If you like this episode, please leave us a rate and review so we can stand out among the other music podcasts. You can follow us at Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Your Coffee. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time.